I was meeting with my coach earlier today. And yes, this coach has a coach because I believe that accountability is incredibly important. I believe that committing yourself to your growth is incredibly important. So I personally will always have a coach. But I was meeting with my coach and we were talking about the fact that I haven't done as many live videos recently. And she was asking me about why that is. And I was telling her that things had been going well for me, but that I had all these fears about putting myself out there even more. I had all of these fears about failing and about people not accepting me. And, that's funny because I posted about this on Instagram recently as well. And I teach women how to set boundaries. I teach women how to put themselves out there, how to be more confident, how to attract their purpose partners. I teach women how to show up as themselves. And I've never had a problem with that when it comes to dating relationships. I don't have a problem with that in my marriage now. And that's why it's easy for me to teach those things when it comes to working with my clients. But I realized that I did have that issue. Hey, Courtney, I realized that I did have that issue when it came to my business. And this is why I had that issue. And I wanted to talk to you about that today. I realized that I was holding myself back because of things that happened in generations before me. I realized that I had allowed myself to be around people who were not going as high as I was, who were not as ambitious as I was. I realized that I had family members who, because they didn't succeed in certain things in life and because they may not have accomplished the things that they wanted to accomplish, they had negative attitudes about putting themselves out there. And I had allowed myself to be infected by those same types of attitudes. And I wanted to talk to you ladies about that today because I know that sometimes that can happen when it comes to dating and relationships as well, really with relationships in general. And what I mean by that is too often as women, we allow ourselves to be infected by the way that we were raised. We allow ourselves to be infected by what happened with our mothers, what happened with our grandmothers and great grandmothers, and on and on. And we get into this habit of seeing that our mothers did not have the relationships that they wanted. Our mothers were taking advantage of. Our mothers were in toxic relationships. Our father wasn't around, or our father was around and he was a cheater, or our father was around and he was there and he took care of the household, but maybe he wasn't as nice to our moms as we would have appreciated. He didn't really know how to cherish our mothers. So we grow up feeling like that is normal, and that causes us to attract toxic relationships. And then not only that, when we do make the effort to really commit ourselves to our growth, to really put ourselves out there, and we start making progress, we start growing, we start to feel guilty for it. And that guilt is so common. There's this whole idea that how dare we soar? How dare we have the lives that we want? How dare we be able to accomplish all of these things that the generation ahead of us couldn't accomplish? How dare we be able to accomplish all of these things that our own generation didn't accomplish? We start to grow, we start to develop, and we see that our sister, our brother, or cousin is still held back in the same place, still has all of these limiting beliefs. Or we start to get to a point where we're attracting better relationships, where we're creating boundaries and we're feeling good about ourselves. And we see, again, sisters, cousins, nieces, our mother, our grandmother with low self-esteem, or just tolerating, frankly, BS in a relationship because they don't think that they can do any better, or being alone because they think that never be able to attract real love. And we feel guilty for having the nerve to actually soar, for having the nerve to demand a better life, for having the nerve to live the life that God wanted us to live. God meant for us to be abundant. And I don't mean that in some prosperity preacher type way. I don't mean that in the whole, I will not name names, who always talk about, you're supposed to have this type of house and this type of car. And yeah, I believe that if that's what you actually want, then God doesn't place desires in your heart for no reason. Hey, Henrietta. So yeah, I don't believe that God places those desires in your heart for no reason. Excuse me, my phone keeps going off. But at the same time, that is not real abundance, just having money. When I say that God means for us to be abundant, what I'm talking about is He means for us to be happy. He means for us to be at peace. He means for us to constantly be growing our lives, growing in our intelligence, growing in our relationship with Him, and growing in our relationship with others. We are not meant to be stuck in some place of mediocrity our entire lives. So I really want you to take some time today and think, are you really truly living the life that God would have you live? And if you are not happy with your career, if you're not happy with your job, if you're not happy with your health, and of course, because I'm a dating coach, if you are not happy with your relationships, your romantic relationships, your relationships with your parents, your relationships with your other family members, with your coworkers, whoever, if you're not happy in any of those areas of your life, why are you not happy? What is holding you back from creating the life that you want? And I want you to seriously think about whether or not you have guilt over trying to do better than other people in your family or other people in your friend group. And I want you to think about, are you afraid of doing better? Are you afraid of really putting yourself out there because you don't want to fail and have other people saying to you things like, oh, I told you so, or who does she think she is? She tried to be a better person. She tried to put herself out there, and look at her. She just fell. She just fell flat on her face. Look, the only people who would say something like that about you are people who don't matter to begin with. And the people who say things like that are also the people who aren't going anywhere. People who are committed to their growth, people who are actually successful, they never criticize people who are trying to build themselves up. It is only people who are committed to staying at the bottom who do that type of thing. So really think about what it is that is holding you back. And, of course, as always, if I can help you with creating the life that you love, with finding the love that you deserve, and truly being in a cherished relationship, then you can message me and we can talk about that. But I really want you to consider, are you holding yourself back because of fear or because of guilt?